Good afternoon. I'm sitting here with Kevin Lollock, and he is the Regional Product Manager for our operating systems and development platforms here at Zebra. Kevin, in my territory specifically, it's very manufacturing heavy, very shop floor heavy. Majority of end users out there still seem to be using terminal emulation.
Yeah.
So for those users who are using terminal emulation, they may think, why do I even have to upgrade mobile devices? Who cares about the sunset of Windows OS and support? I'll just use what I've got.
I love that question, and we get that quite frequently. I'm so used to working within my terminal emulation environment, why change? And the main impetus for change is to again meet that end user expectation of how technology is supposed to behave. So many years ago, the green screen was fine. It was good. It was comfortable. It worked. We didn't have to worry about it. It had a very efficient data flow and so on. And there's a lot of legacy applications out there that are still in use today that are using this 20 or 30-year-old way of interacting with back-end systems. But more so is that there is inherent productivity gains that can be achieved by going from a legacy user interface into something more modern. Case in point would be a large internet retailer that has does you order on the web and it'll ship you overnight, and if you're a certain class of member, you can get it, free shipping and so on.
Right.
I wonder who that is. But they use terminal emulation with a lot of their back-end systems. They also hire a lot of seasonal workers, and on average, it took about 2.5 days to train a seasonal worker with the old way of doing interacting with technology to get them up to speed and comfortable in using technology. They were able to modernize that user interface and go to something that was more touch-centric without even having to change their back-end systems. And they were able to cut that training time down from 2.5 days down to a half a day because it was more in context.
And that's per individual.
Per individual.
Okay,
right.
so it's whether they've got 1,000 users out there, I mean, obviously that'll scale, but
Yeah.
even a lot of our partners are not selling to companies with thousands of TE users.
Yeah.
They may have 40, 50, maybe less.
Right. Yeah, but in this particular organization, it resulted in man-years of savings overall. And even tying that down to somebody that might be using 20 or 30 devices, it has a significant impact on that user experience. And we've also seen and measured that people that are using a touch-centric interface versus an old green screen or key-based interface, they actually achieve performance gains in overall productivity. 14% gain in overall productivity in going from one type of interface to the next because it's just more intuitive for them to use. A surprising statistic is with the green screen, you typically have a hard keyboard. With all-touch terminal emulation, you have a keyboard that can be made dynamic based on the context of which
I was hoping you were going to mention that.
Yeah, what you're inputting to. And this class of users is used to typing on a thumb screen keyboard. So their typing speed improves and their typing accuracy improves as well, which I found pretty astounding. But think about it in the way you interact with technology on a day-to-day basis. That makes a significant impact of going from an old way of doing things, green screen TE, into a more modern way of doing business with all-touch terminal emulation.
So then to summarize then, obviously you mentioned the reduction in training, reduction of training time for new users. So maybe you've got seasonal help or new users, a reduction in training time, an improvement in productivity. And you did touch upon it, but probably reduction of errors because you're not having to, what button do I push and then come down here and push it? What button do I need to push and come down here and push it? You're just pushing the button on the screen as it says.
Yeah.
You turn this thing on in a customer's own TE environment, you give them all touch, and you're probably going to get 80, 85% of the way there.
Yeah.
There's personalization that's most likely going to be required. And it's a non-programming personalization, it's a WYSIWYG type of interface. And the fact that those are billable professional service dollars for if you want to have Zebra do it, our services, or you as the partners can actually do that with your own professional services group.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kevin.
You bet.